so much. Thank you so much. My name is Justin, and I am so fortunate to be able to be up here tonight as the conductor for this incredible orchestra. It is absolutely such a joy. I kind of wish, I love that you're here, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, but I kind of wish each of you had the chance at some point in time, and no, for those eager folks, this is not an open invitation, a chance to come up and see what it feels like up here. It is an absolutely incredible thing. And what you were looking at tonight, as Joshua said, is about 125, 126 folks, all volunteers. Your neighbors, your friends, your parents, in some cases, your children, your friends, your doctor, your pharmacist. We've got all sorts of other professions up here. People from our community that come together just because they love to play music. They love to create something bigger than themselves. And hopefully tonight we're going to give you a little taste of what that feels like. As you probably know, if you picked up a program on your way in, or if you heard Joshua, the program tonight is called Colors. We really enjoy theming. We like trying to make sure that we create something that you can take away from the concert, something that you can feel and connect and relate to and possibly experience music in a way you're not used to. So tonight, we're going to explore the relationship between visual colors and the sounds that kind of reflect them. The first color we're going to really explore tonight is yellow. Yellow is one of the brightest, most vibrant, most energetic colors that there is, and the piece that we're going to play that represents that really has that almost annoyingly happy quality to it that we sometimes associate with that really bright, piercing sunlight, kind of circus clowns, big tent, bright, happy energy. And for us, yellow sounds like saber dance. Are you starting to get the idea? Color, sound, etc. Yeah, the idea that music, that notes, that pitches, that chords can reflect something visually. It's not a new concept, but it's something that we're going to really have a lot of fun exploring. And Saber Dance was a fairly easy way to ease you into this idea. How many Downton Abbey fans do we have in the house tonight? Just out of pure curiosity now, just because I'm curious to see the reaction, how many Game of Thrones fans do we have in the house tonight? I was just curious. Sorry about that, Downton Abbey folks. As an example, this next piece of music, we're going to play the theme from Downton Abbey, but I don't want you to think of the show. I don't want you to think of the manner. I don't want you to think of the characters that you know and those kinds of things. Try to separate the source material from the actual music. We're using this to represent the color brown. Not often color we think about an awful lot, but it's very earthy, clearly. It's very grounded. It's very kind of formal and traditional. And sometimes brown can be associated with strength. Brown can sometimes be associated with rust or things that are kind of older and staple in life. And sometimes, if you think fall, I know in Florida it's a season we don't actually get, but if you've ever been somewhere else and you think of fall and you see the leaves changing and the trees turning just brown, things kind of fall into the ground, and there's a tinge of sadness to it. Not much, it's not an overly serious color, but there's that moment of sort of reflection. So all of that makes up a color we probably don't spend much time thinking about. And so for us tonight, the color brown sounds like Downton Abbey. earthy colors that is associated with rust and stone and dirt and those kind of things. We move into a color that's pretty close palette-wise, but incredibly different orally in terms of what you hear. We move on to orange, and for me, orange represents a wealth of things. It can be a sunrise, I mean that really rich, bright orange sunrise you get sometimes after a stormy day. It can be the idea of a fire. That first spark, that low burning ember, as you start a fire that grows into something roaring and big and powerful. Or something even as simple as, think about the blooming of a flower, an orange tulip or something as it's kind of first bursting forth and growing. Orange is a color that has a lot of energy and a lot of growth and vibrancy to it. And for us tonight, we're going to play for you the final portion from the Firebird Suite, the finale from the Firebird Suite, which to me represents all of those things that orange can stand for. From the very first opening notes you'll hear in the strings and in the French horn solo, kind of picture that blooming of a flower, or that very beginning of a fire, the dying of a new day, as it grows to a really glorious conclusion. Hopefully you'll see that orange is a highly underrated color, really, a very complex, emotional, and powerful. So we give you the finale from the Firebird Suite. And from orange, we lead naturally into the color most often associated with fire and those bright, energetic things, red. Before we jump into this, please know this is the final piece in the first half of our concert tonight. So when we're done, relax, enjoy yourself. About 10-minute intermission, and then come on back because we're just getting started. Lots of colors to go. You don't want to miss them, trust me. So red. Red is a fascinating color. Red is the most visually energetic color that there is. For us, like I said, it often can represent fire. It can represent anger in certain situations, but it can also represent love and passion. I find it interesting that the same color we associate with love and passion is often associated with anger. I will leave that to you to sort out on your own. But red is powerful. Red is complex. Red is passionate. So for us, it made a lot of sense to kind of dip into the Latin repertoire. And there's a piece we're going to play by a Cuban composer. It's based on a melody from Andalusia, from that part of Spain. And it's often associated with flamenco dancing in that style, that passion, that energy, and that look and that feel. So much like the Firebird, it starts as just a spark, and it grows to about the most passionate ending you can imagine. We give you our version of Red, Malagueña. welcome back. Thank you for returning. I appreciate that. That was green. That was green, in case you couldn't tell. We intentionally, when we programmed this concert, we started to think through these things. There are a lot of pieces of music that represent color. And sometimes composers make it incredibly easy for you to figure it out. It's not easy being green, for example. We could have chosen Kermit the Frog for green. We could have gone with Rhapsody in blue. Gershwin made it very easy, Rhapsody in blue. He was very intentional about the color he was trying to create. The notes he chose, the chords he wrote, the way he shaped phrases and things clearly represented a mood and a color that he was looking for. But we stayed away from those really obvious examples in most cases because we wanted to represent a little bit more depth to some of these colors. So for us, Appalachian Spring, the portion we just played, represents all of the vitality that green is associated with, the growth, the health, the vibrancy that comes with green, and the many complexities that green has, from light, delicate moments, small leaves, small plants just beginning to grow, and then huge, stately forests and the really broad expanses of nature. So for us, that was green. We're going to stick with nature as an inspiration for color and music as we move into blue from here. Bedřich Smetana wrote this piece called, we call it in English, the Moldau. Represents a river that flows through his homeland and eventually in through the capital city of Prague. But he was very intentional when he wrote it. He said, look, if I'm going to write about this river, I want the music to not just represent my country, but to really represent what it is to sound and look and feel like a river from the very beginning. So you will hear kind of the birth of a river tonight. He uses little pizzicato notes in the strings, and a running line you'll get from the flutes, and then eventually from the clarinets, and then picked up with the cellos and the violas and the violins, as it swells from two streams that intersect and become a big flowing river. And then that river takes us quite a ways on its journey, past a forest scene where you see hunters along the bank of a river, past a peasant wedding along the side of the river where you encounter the people that this river nourishes and feeds every day. And then eventually it broadens and comes in through the city, and you'll feel the kind of national pride that comes with entering the capital the way the river does. So not only because it's a beautiful piece of music, but because rivers and water are so often associated with the color blue, we now give you the Moldau. one of the hardest colors to represent visually as well as musically is the color black. It's debatable whether black is even a color, apparently, if you talk to science. I don't know, let's call them science people. Like scientists, smart people, go with that. Not me, clearly. About whether black is just the absence of other colors. But emotionally, black represents so much. Oftentimes, black can be associated with a sense of formality, classiness, a black tuxedo, James Bond, those kinds of things. But more often than not, in society, black is associated with kind of those darker desires. Anger, despair, frustration, malice, that type of sound and feel. And for us tonight to represent the color black, we picked the opening scene from the Swan Lake Suite. You may be familiar with the ballet, Swan Lake. You may have been, seen the movie Black Swan. Some of you, perhaps, you will recognize the music from that as well. It represents kind of the complexity, the despair, the anger, and all of the things you would wrap up in the feeling of black. So we give you the scene from Swan Lake. just to make you aware of. First and foremost, as Joshua said, this is our first time performing here at Calvary. It's a stunning venue, but more importantly than that, they have been a wonderful host to us all week. We moved in with all of this stuff Sunday. We've been here for a dress rehearsal Thursday, a concert last night and tonight. And under the leadership of Mike Justice, Canute, and George, who are back there on audio and lights, and their entire crew, they have been incredible hosts, and they have partnered with us. Everything you were hearing tonight and seeing tonight, they have kind of an equal hand in making possible for us. So please join us in giving a warm round of applause to the people of Calvary for letting us do this. Being a conductor is a wonderfully exciting thing, but I'm the only person up on stage, if things are going well, who's not making a sound. And so these musicians and what you are seeing and hearing tonight, that credit belongs to the 125 people on the stage and the good people of Calvary who have helped make this possible. So again, sincerely, thank you. Hopefully you will take your program home with you tonight and look it over, because I spent a lot of time writing that stuff. You know, there's program notes and there's insight and wisdom and whatever else came to me at midnight when I was doing that. So take that through, look it through. Hopefully you will remember the experience you had here tonight. Maybe you've discovered a new song tonight that you weren't familiar with, that's touched you, that you'll download and own now and think about music a little bit differently. We would love that. If you're enjoying this journey with us tonight, we invite you to come back and join us again. In the program, you'll see some ads for some things that are coming up on the horizon. In August, members of this orchestra and members of our classical choir will combine to present Brahms' Requiem on August, I think, 6th and 7th, so you will not want to miss that performance. And then coming early September, we will also be combining with a bunch of our singers and some actors and some wonderfully, incredibly talented people up at Northland Church in Longview to present a concert version of Guys and Dolls, which is sure to be a wonderfully good time. So that's coming in September. And then just after that, in October, right back here at Calvary, believe it or not, tickets are on sale for this already. CFCArts.com/thriller. That's right, in October, this orchestra will be back here at Calvary presenting a concert full of the perfect music for that weekend before Halloween. It'll be some of your favorite classical music. It'll be things like The Sorcerer's Apprentice and Night on Bald Mountain, and those types of works, as well as a few other fun surprises you might recognize. Finishing with a tribute to a gentleman who wrote a song that's been used around Halloween since the late 80s. We present a medley of Michael Jackson tunes, kind of anchored by the song Thriller. So, yeah, it's going to be a good time. I like that you're clapping for that already. You can keep clapping all the way till October, as far as I'm concerned, because it's going to be awesome. You're not going to want to miss that. And by the time we get them rocking on Billie Jean and Smooth Criminal and Beat It and those kinds of tunes, they're not going to need me, so I'm telling you, I'm unpredictable. It could be, you should come to the concert just to see what I might come up with. I'm saying. Just saying. Something like that. That was for them. You're welcome. You can tell I don't want the evening to end because I'm dragging it out, but our final piece for tonight represents the color purple. Purple is one of the most complex and rich and dynamic colors that there is. It combines the vibrant energy that you get from red and that cool, calming, soothing confidence that you get from blue. So not surprisingly, purple for a long time has been associated with faith and religion in the church, as well as royalty, people of power. And it's also been associated with acts of heroism, people who are great and selfless in doing things for others. There's a reason that for great acts of valor you receive a purple heart, not a red heart or a green heart. Purple represents so much depth there. So the piece we are going to play for you to represent purple is a really interestingly complex piece as well. It starts with a really dark, deep purple that you'll hear from the low strings and the piano and some really deep, solid, low instruments that represent almost that midnight dark purple. And then it will grow much the way purple does. This piece also represents a stained glass window. It's from the fourth movement of Respighi's Church Windows. It represents St. Gregory the Great in stained glass window form. So I also want you to picture light as it hits stained glass, what it does, the angles it takes, the different colors and complexity that it comes on as kind of the sun rises through that window. So to kind of close our concert this evening with the color purple, we present from Church Windows, St. Gregory the Great. tonight. Hope you had a great time. Hope you heard something new, something familiar, something unexpected, and that you go home tonight with your life just a little bit more colorful than it was before you came in tonight. Please drive safely. Have a wonderful evening and come back and see us again sometime soon. Thank you so much. Have a great night.